Hello, everybody. Welcome to Wrestleview Live. I almost had the Wrestleview post Raw show, but it's Wrestleview Live. It's been a while since I've really done one of these. I almost just botched the entire intro.
Not only did
Almost like they botched Becky Lynch's return tonight.
Not only
Almost.
did you almost botch like the show, you almost
Okay,
botched
you're talking. I didn't even introduce you
I
yet,
don't care.
so you gotta wait. I don't even have you on the screen.
You almost botched
All right.
the name of the website.
We're off the rails already. I didn't almost botch the name of the
Yes,
website.
you did.
I said Wrestleview.
No, you were about
And I was
to,
like,
you
is
said
it post Raw?
Wrestle.
Yeah, because I stopped mid-sentence because I thought I was going to say post Raw. Can you
No,
shut up and let me do my
it was
intro, please?
Wrestle.
Shush.
There's a T in there.
Okay, quiet. God almighty. Hello, everybody. I'm Mike Tedesco, editor-in-chief of Wrestleview.com. Good to be with you all. I got my Wrestleview polo shirt on. Thank you for noticing that, Mr. V. That you see, it's I got Nafisa Don here saying hello. And Mr. V mentioning that it's a big night. It's a big night whenever I pull out the Wrestleview shirt. Actually, I should have pulled it out last night too because that was a big night as well. Welcome to the show, everybody. We got a heck of a show for you. We are talking about SummerSlam tonight. Last night we were talking about the return of CM Punk on AEW Rampage, and we have more returns to talk about with you tonight from the SummerSlam pay-per-view. Some real interesting stuff going on in the world of professional wrestling. If you're a fan of wrestling and you can get out of that hive mind, tribal mindset, and just enjoy wrestling for what it is, you probably enjoyed yourself tonight. I know I did. So let me run over the SummerSlam card with you, tell you what happened on the show, and then I'm going to introduce my esteemed panel. I think you know who one of them is already, but whatever. She can't keep herself quiet. It's not spoil the surprise. Shush, quiet. Okay, here we go. On the SummerSlam kickoff show, Big E defeated poor dumpy Baron Corbin and took back his Money in the Bank contract. So Lashley still has the Money in the Bank contract. I'm sorry, Big E. I'm thinking Big E's gonna be cashing in on Lashley tomorrow. That's what I got in my head right now, but I don't think so. That's just like internet wishful thinking they got in my head now. On the main show, RK Bro, Riddle and Randy Orton defeated AJ Styles and Omos to win the Raw Tag Team Championship. Alexa Bliss defeated Eva Marie. Less said the better. Damian Priest defeated Sheamus to win the WWE United States Championship. The Usos defeated Rey and Dominic Mysterio to retain the Smackdown Tag Team Championship. In a big surprise, kind of a scummy move the way it started off, they hyped Bianca Belair versus Sasha Banks in a WrestleMania rematch all day. They were supposed to wrestle on weekend house shows a week ago, and those matches did not happen due to unforeseen circumstances. Sasha Banks did not appear on SmackDown last night. Rumors all day that Sasha Banks was not at SummerSlam, and it was confirmed by Wrestling Inc. first. And they did a 5-minute video package hyping up Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks. They sent Bianca Belair out there. They're talking about, this is a WrestleMania main event rematch. And then Greg Hamilton gets on the microphone and says that Sasha Banks is not there due to unforeseen circumstances. So we're going to have Bianca Belair versus Carmella. And then Becky Lynch returned. So I think you still could have done this without the false advertising saying that Bianca Belair, that the match is not we'll talk about this because it just drove me absolutely nuts. And then they had Becky Lynch say, why don't we blow the roof off the place tonight, Bianca, and have a SmackDown Women's Championship match? Becky Lynch defeated her in 10 seconds to win the SmackDown Women's Championship. And it was not a pretty reaction online, nor in the Tedesco household when that happened. And I was really pumped when Becky Lynch came out. Drew McIntyre defeated Jinder Mahal in felt like 3 minutes or so. Charlotte Flair defeated Nikki Ash and Rhea Ripley by submission. She submitted Nikki Ash, of course. Who else would she submit? To win the Raw Women's Championship. So she's a 12-time champion now. And we have a few more of these title changes to go before WrestleMania, and they can make her a 17-time champion or whatever. Edge defeated Seth Rollins by submission. Bobby Lashley beats Goldberg by referee stoppage. Goldberg could not continue in the match. Lashley attacked his knee, and then Lashley put Gage Goldberg in the Hurt Lock after the match. And then in our main event, Roman Reigns defeats John Cena with a spear in about a little over 20-minute match to retain the WWE Universal Championship. And immediately after that, Brock Lesnar's music hit, and the Beast made his way to ringside, got in the ring, got in Reigns' face. Paul Heyman was cowering in the corner with the Universal Championship, and Reigns and Heyman left the ring without incident. So there you go. There's a lot to unpack here. It was a long show. We have a great crew in the chat room right now. We'll make sure we say hello to all of them. But first, I'm going to say hello. You've already heard her voice already. So say hello to my co-host of the Post-Raw show, my wife, Victoria.
Hello. Hi, everybody.
There you go. But it's Wrestleview Live, and it's SummerSlam, and it's a really big show. And we have somebody who I was just talking to last night about professional wrestling. Great guy, knows his stuff. He is the Smackdown recapper for Wrestleview.com. Mr. Roy Nemer is here as well.
Thank you for the introduction, Mike. Sorry, everybody. I know you guys were probably low-key expecting Adam. But as we mentioned yesterday, Adam's going to be there in November, so you guys are kind of stuck with me for tonight. Apologies in advance. Sorry, Victoria. Sorry, Mike. But hello, everybody. Hope you guys are well.
I was just to say, Roy, I'm actually more excited to do the show with you than with Mike, so this works out perfectly for me.
I mean, thank you. Sorry, Mike. Thank you, Victoria.
I'm out of here. What the hell?
Anyways, everybody noticed.
Jeez, man. Jeez. Double Roy weekend is best. I gotta say I agree with Nafis Sadat, our good friend here. Our good friend. But we did kind of hold Adam's feet to the fire. I mean, I don't blame Adam for not watching this show. Jamel said it best on Twitter that this would have been the perfect night to have the return of Thumbs in the Middle. I don't know if this would have been the show to bring Adam Martin back to watching, WWE wrestling on. But we did hold his feet to the fire. You better stay tuned in November for the Wrestleview Live in November, because Adam Martin did promise us that he would be on the show.
Yeah,
he did.
He did.
Right? Did he not?
Yeah. He did. I kind of bullied him into bullying is bad, by the way, kids. Don't ever do it except if it's with Adam. So I kind of bullied him into kind of accepting it, and we have it. It's on YouTube. It's in the archives. Go check it out. And it's there. He agreed to it.
Absolutely. Mr. V making a great point here. You need a Wrestleview polo up on that wall.
I gotta talk. Who do I gotta talk to?
Actually, I got this from Adam.
Of course.
Your brother would go to the mall, buy like a $5 black T-shirt, and like go to the T-shirt press, and there you
print
go.
it on there.
It'd be like
it
would be WX, not it's supposed to be WV.
Yeah,
we gotta get Paul.
I'll talk to Adam.
We gotta get Paul on these Oakley shirts here. I mean, this is a comfortable shirt.
It looks comfy.
This is still my my all-in weekend Starcast weekend shirt. Is pretty good.
Everyone wants a Wrestleview polo now, by the way.
Hopefully you watched it like immediately after that show.
Oh yeah. It was washed. It was washed. Well, we did a podcast after that. We're an infamous podcast. If you can find it online, where we're all talking about what we saw at All In, and then all of a sudden you hear the throes of somebody experiencing deep psychotic sleep apnea as Goosey Oberster fell asleep in the background, and all you hear is, well, I don't know if it was human, but it was it was there. That was I hope you got the CPAP machine. I hope you're okay, Goosey. I really do. Anyway, everybody, let's so there's a lot that happened on SummerSlam tonight. It was almost like the returns were everything to the show. It felt like, there was for me, a lot of the matches were just there. Like they delivered, they were given some time on some stuff. But it's all about the returns, and they gave us some good ones. One where it was like, you go online and it's like, well, AEW did it better on that return with CM Punk with the Becky Lynch thing. And then there's one I thought it was well done, and exactly what they should have done with Becky Lynch, by the way. Exactly. And in fact, I have an alternate universe where Becky Lynch actually had a good return, because they had the freaking answer right there in front of them. I'll explain to you what I mean. But first, I'm gonna go with Victoria. Let's talk first about the return of Becky Lynch. You've been pregnant before.
Yes.
And you know what it takes to get back into fighting shape after being pregnant.
Oh, well.
What was your thoughts on the return of the last
she
kicker?
Looked incredible, I have to say. For somebody who just gave birth, took some time off, I envy her because she looks amazing. She looks in even better shape than she did before, and she's always been in great shape. But I was very, very happy just to see her on screen. And I'm always very happy for any woman who comes back into what they want to do and goes back into their profession and after having a baby, because it's not easy by any means. Your body goes through a whirlwind of everything physically and even emotionally too. But she looked fantastic. And although I agree with you on maybe this wasn't the best return, it was very nice to see her on screen and to see her with the crowd and everybody. It was enjoyable for me. Personally, it was enjoyable for me. I consider it a win. You could talk more about it, and Roy, you could talk more about it, your opinion on it, but I considered it a win for me.
Yeah. Well, I have an opinion about it for sure.
You have an opinion on everything, so
I am not short on I'm not short on opinions, and damn it, it's my goal tonight to make sure that you talk tonight. So I want to make sure I get that in there. And Roy, what did you think of Becky Lynch tonight?
It's when her music hit, everyone went crazy. It was a loud pop. It was cool. It was good to see her back. It's been, I think, well over a year now since was it April 2020 or so. So it was very good. Obviously, we got a couple of teases every now and then about her return, but the end of it, like the end result, I just wasn't happy with. I thought it could have been done a lot better. They could have done a much better job than what they did, but it got the crowd going. It got the crowd excited. Just personally speaking, I wasn't a fan of what happened in the end. So kind of thumbs in the middle on that one.
Yeah. You know what? It was like, I was wondering, and we all talked about it last night on the podcast, and, everybody was like, don't compare the two companies. Well, you know what? They're in the same genre. It's almost like stupid and negligent to say we can't compare to them. They're in the same entertainment field. It just is. And of course you're going to get comparisons to what they did with CM Punk last night. There was a lot of questions asked in the chat room about, how is WWE going to respond to the CM Punk debut? And, Nafis said maybe they're tearing up the scripts for SummerSlam. And I kind of hope that they did, that would have been nice. But I didn't think that they would. But they actually had a couple surprises for us, not just one return, but two returns. This one, it felt right. It felt like it was going to be, a slam dunk home run. Becky Lynch's music hit, and the place goes crazy, absolutely crazy. I kind of felt. I called it in my tweet that they were going to send Becky Lynch out there because there was so much dick about. Advertising Sasha Banks versus Bianca Belair right up to the bitter end, and then they send Carmella out there, and it's like, well, they're going to send Becky Lynch out there for some goodwill, but it leaves a sour taste in your mouth. I get it, the card's subject to change, but they knew, right. And it's just crappy false advertising. I don't like that, but it felt like it was going to be just all the way down the field. They're at the last yard all the way on the other side of the field, and they run the ball 99 yards up the football field, and then they friggin' fumbled it at the goal line, having Becky Lynch beat Bianca Belair in 10 seconds to win the title after everything that Bianca Belair did. And then to add insult to injury, after the show, they do that WrestleMania 37 WWE 24 special. And we only watched a little bit of it as we were setting up for this, but Bianca Belair has this beautiful story about how she came to the company, her athletic background, the trials and tribulations she went through in her life, including being, I believe she said she was bulimic. And then there was a suicide attempt, and she was at a really low point in her life. And it was just an inspiring story. And they hit you with this really super inspiring story after having her beat in 10 seconds by Becky Lynch. That just didn't sit well with me. Becky Lynch is an established star. her return was enough. That's all that needed to happen. That's all that needed to happen. All they need to do was Becky Lynch come out there and point at the title and then go away. Or if they really wanted her to work, they could have had Bianca Belair get on the microphone and say, well, I don't know, you've been gone for a year and a half. What do you have to prove? And then have her beat the crap out of Carmella in a squash match. You don't beat Becky Lynch first night in the squash match. Hello. I mean, Bianca Belair in the squash match. Hello. This is crazy. This is crazy stuff. It felt like they were taking a young, budding, emerging superstar, somebody who could be the face of the company, and in many cases was on track to be the female face of the company. And it's like they sacrificed all of that to pad Becky Lynch, who didn't need the padding. She already got the big pop. And people love Bianca Belair. People want to see Bianca Belair succeed. And what do? They beat her in 10 seconds, and then it leaves people with a bad taste in their mouth. There's no way I should be on this show right now talking about how they dicked up the Becky Lynch return, and how, the only way it makes sense is if Becky Lynch is going heel, because she shook her hand and then fucking pounced her, and then Bianca Belair has to sit there all shocked and go, well, you got me. You got me. Another stupid face. Welcome back to the mid-card. This is why they don't create stars. This is everything that's wrong with this company. Go on.
And this is why you guys should subscribe to the Wrestleview channel on YouTube for live rants like that.
I'm sorry.
No, look, I echo your sentiments. I fully agree. They completely botched this. They could have just had Bianca beat the crap out of Carmella, say, look, I got nothing to prove. I beat her up last night on SmackDown, beat her again later just now, and then have Becky Lynch come out and, like you said, whatever, point to the title, point to something, point to anything. And now you have this feud that, whatever, is just starting and you're building up to a match. You don't squash your beeping champion, especially someone that's been the face of the division since WrestleMania, or at least since January, even since the Royal Rumble. Someone that, Charlotte Flair aside, is the face of the division. It's not Asuka. It's not Becky Lynch that was away. It's her. And someone, she's 23, 24. She's still relatively young. Oh, yeah. Several years ahead of her. You don't do this. Like you said, Becky doesn't need this. This doesn't help anyone. If anything, this absolutely destroys Bianca, because how could she come back from this? This whole, I wasn't prepared for her, I was prepared for Sasha Banks. Yeah, you're a champion, right? If we're going to go with storyline-wise, you're a champion, you should be prepared for anything. You don't do a squash match in 10 seconds. This was worse than Brock Lesnar versus Kofi Kingston for me.
Oh, yeah. Well, because by the time they got to Lesnar versus Kingston, you had seen that they weren't putting anything into Kofi Kingston. He had a few matches. Yeah, they gave him a Randy Orton match. The guy never main evented a single pay-per-view. He was treated kind of like, all right, we'll give him the title and we'll give him a run just to say that we did. But as soon as he gets against somebody who's like a legitimate giant star, I mean, Randy Orton was that, and he did vanquish the Viper at least, but he had hit his ceiling. And it was time to make the change. Do I wish it was longer than a 7-second match? Sure. But it's Lesnar. That's just what you do. But he had at least hit a ceiling. Bianca Belair had at WrestleMania. You talk about, how old is she? You said 24?
24. I'm going to look this up right now just to double check.
Yeah, please do, because it's super important that we get her age right here, because she's. Oh no, she's 32.
Oh, my bad. She's 32. Yeah. Holy crap.
Actually, she's April 9th, honey. April 9th. Oh. But anyway,
apologies for that one. I was way off.
That's all right. 32 years old. Tons and tons of personality and athletic ability and charisma, and she had not just there was no ceiling here. Whatever ceiling she had at WrestleMania, with as much experience as she has in professional wrestling and in big time settings, to main event night one of WrestleMania, it's night one, doesn't matter. That was, as a standalone show, that was an excellent show, and she main evented that. And everybody was talking about Bad Bunny, but they were also talking about Bianca Belair, because if there was a ceiling, if there was a glass ceiling, she absolutely shattered it that night. The ceiling was not even grazed by what Bianca Belair can do, and she will still do great things. I'm not saying that this is the end of her career here, but when you make a giant misstep like this, it's not just a fumble at the goal line on Becky Lynch coming back after a year and a half of being gone. It's also a fumble at the goal line for what they were doing with Bianca Belair, because we've seen this. We talked about this last night with CM Punk, Roy. Who was more over in 2011 than him? Summer of Punk. The second Summer of Punk was incredible. They did that awesome angle at Money in the Bank. Then they paid him $1 gazillion to come back. And then by September, they have him involved in a pointless feud with Kevin Nash and getting pinned by Triple H. And it was never the same. He did win the title in November that year, but it was just not the same if they didn't beat him with Triple H. Like they cannot sustain a star for so long before it's like, got to beat him. Got to beat him. And on top of that, making her look like, well, you got me tonight.
That was my biggest problem, and I don't want to say that everybody's a little bit more passionate about this than I am, in the sense of like, and it wasn't a justice to Bianca Belair. I'm not going to sit here and be like, it wasn't, you know what I mean? But at the same time, though, that was kind of the one thing that really irked me about it at the end. They could have made it where if they really wanted, Becky and Bianca to have a match, like that quick, again, I don't even want to call it a match, that quick little, altercation, if you will. But they really wanted them to do that. And then if Bianca wanted to play the role of like, I wasn't prepared, I wasn't ready for this, fine. But then don't make her have her like, almost like, kudos to Becky, like, all right, you got me on this one, like no big deal type thing. And then Becky's like, you good. She had very like heel like elements when Becky was doing that. Like, are you good? You're good. Okay, you did that. And then Bianca's like, all right, you got me here. That doesn't seem indicative of her character. So that was weird to me. I felt like up until that point, she could have played like no, I wasn't ready for this. And fine. Like then you have her earn her title back like almost immediately or whatever. She should have been a little bit more shocked, I guess. Like, oh my God, what's happening type thing. But yeah, no, it stinks. I think I just got lost personally for me. Again, and it's just my own like female type thing that like Becky's back. Becky had a baby and, and is going to be working. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was kind of overshadowed and I didn't think too much about Bianca Belair, and maybe I should have, and I didn't take it as strongly as the internet and like, you guys, if that makes sense. Do you know what I mean? I know it sounds bizarre and it maybe not conveying what I want to say properly, but
yeah, absolutely. And I get what you mean. Randy making a good point in the chat room here. You now have to rehab Bianca Belair, and Becky gained quite literally nothing from this.
Yeah.
Becky Lynch would have been just fine if she did what Daniel Schell mentions that Ronda Rousey did, where you just come out and you point at the sign. Now there's no sign to point at, but again, you point at the title, set up the match for the future that everybody wants to see. You don't have to give it to them right now.
No, ideally that's not what you do, of course,
like this whole entire instant gratification. Like no one was asking for a match, nobody, and it's almost like more bad decision making from them. I'm sorry that I'm going off so much, but I'm actually sweating right now. That's how mad. That's how pumped I am about this stupid decision here. It's like they booked them like they did that thing where they booked themselves into a corner by being assholes and promoting Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair for the entire week, knowing that Sasha Banks was not coming. It's like, when you don't deliver on a match and it's like the very second that the match is supposed to happen, you kind of have to have a title change in order to make everybody happy. But on the flip side, you can also return somebody that hasn't been around in a while. Now, usually you don't have anybody waiting in the wings like Becky Lynch to come back to save your skin. But in this case, they did. You didn't need to do the title change tonight. You could have set up a wonderful program for the fall. Like they could have main evented Extreme Rules. They very well might still main event Extreme Rules with how, with hopefully how over Becky Lynch is.
Yeah.
But it's not going to be the same as Bianca going into the thing as the champion, them having an excellent match. And now that Becky Lynch is back, you think she's going to lose her first match back? So the rematch is going to be, guess what? Bianca Belair back on her shoulders again. And then what? And then what do you do? Roy, this is your show. Tell me what the hell you do.
There's nothing. Have you seen the women's division in general, be it Raw or SmackDown? There's nothing. You can have a feud with Tamina or Natalya or Shotzi or Black. There's nothing. And it's easy to get caught up in the moment because I think, Victoria, that's what happened, right? You got caught up in the moment with with Becky coming back and everything. It's easy, right? And it kind of happened to me. and it kind of happened to me. And then like 10, 15 minutes later, I'm thinking, well, wait a minute. What? This sucks. Because like you said, Becky's not going to lose her first match back. You're going to have a rematch right away. This was pointless. Having Becky Lynch come back, great idea. Having the match happen, pointless. Because like you said, we're going to have them, chances are, at Extreme Rules. It might main event, it might not. But you can't have a no DQ match there. And you can't have Becky Lynch lose because she just came back.
Right.
And if you have Bianca Belair, who's been your hottest star in general, or at least in your top 3 hottest stars in the company since January, you have her lose. You have her humiliated at SummerSlam, and then you have her lose again at Extreme Rules. No one benefits from this. Like I said, no one benefits.
Right. And once again, they had at least 3 different scenarios that were supremely better than the one that they chose.
Really, there was so many options. Because now that I sit back and I think about it and I assess the situation, I can think of at least 5 different ways that I would have played this out differently.
Well, I have 3 that were actually just sitting there, just sitting there. Have her just come out and point at the title. Have her come out and get, just have her, and Bianca Belair double teams Carmella. Or have her go out there and squash Carmella in a squash match while Bianca Belair looks on and goes, yeah, all right, well, you're back. All right, well, maybe I'll see you for the title. And then there was the one that was like, oh, just give Becky Lynch the title in 10 seconds. That one was very fucking low on the list of things that you should do. And that's, of course, the one that they go with.
My whole question is how
who signed off on that?
Well,
that's my question.
And when did they sign off on it? That's what I want to know. Did this happen tonight?
I mean, like maybe, one thing that I can guess, I mean, I have no information on Sasha Banks. I don't know what's going on with her. I hope she's okay. Hope she's mentally okay. I hope she's physically okay. But perhaps they're hoping against hope that maybe she was injured and that she could be cleared before the show
tonight,
and it didn't happen. And I mean, maybe Becky Lynch wasn't ready to come back yet, and that's the most that she could do. Maybe she's not in ring shape yet. But then that fucking begs the question: why didn't you just have her destroy Carmella and point at the title and not give her the championship? So if she's not in ring shape, that doesn't make any sense.
That's what I'm saying.
So I'm talking myself out of it on air.
I don't know. I really, Roy, what do you think? Do you think this was like a rash decision, or was this something that? I mean, it clearly wasn't the initial plan.
No. Yeah, no, obviously not. Or I hope not, anyways. But see, no matter what, even if this was a last-minute decision, even if an hour before they went on the air, they got word, okay, Sasha Banks not cleared to go for whatever reason, she's not there, whatever. Fine. You have Becky Lynch that's there, that's available, that's cool. That in and of itself is enough. There's no justifiable reason for them to do what they did with Bianca Belair tonight. I don't think anyone could convince me or you guys.
Yeah.
Not me.
There's nothing. You have Becky Lynch come back, cut a promo. It's not the best promo. Fine, whatever. It was last minute. It happens. But there's no reason to do what they did. Mike, you mentioned that what they did was, at the bottom of the list of things they should have done. It should never have even been on the list.
I agree.
It boggles my mind that they actually thought, hey, you know what? Let's take our hottest female star, not named Charlotte Flair, since
Right.
January, who's over in the ring, over with the fans, great on the mic, actually has a freaking personality, and let's just bury her.
Right.
Let her lose in 10 seconds.
It just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't. And now I see people in the chat mentioning that perhaps it's to get Bianca Belair to go to Raw in the WWE draft, which is apparently coming at the end of the month, but they haven't promoted it yet. And they would have promoted it. I mean, they promoted Crown Jewel in October, and nobody wants to watch that goddamn show. They promoted that twice, and so I don't think that I don't know if the draft is coming up. I thought they changed the date. It's probably back in October now. But I mean, if that's the way that they want to get Bianca Belair off of SmackDown, again, that would probably be on a list of very low on a list of ways to get her off of SmackDown.
Like Roy said, it should
or not even on the list, like Mr. Nemer just said, because he's a very astute and bright young man here talking about wrestling. He knows his stuff. He's been watching all his life. So I don't know. But I think this is the comment right here that we should pay attention to from Mr. Jamel. Can we move on from this match? Because the longer this goes, the angrier we're going to get about all this shit.
Jamel's really
spot on. Jamel's been killing it today.
Oh, Jamel always kills it.
Jamel's been killing it. So like on things, this shouldn't have even been on the list, like Roy said. It's almost astounding that the very same company that just completely botched the entire damn Becky Lynch return perfectly pulled off a Brock Lesnar return tonight. Now, I don't know how this got started, but there was like some buzz that Brock was going to AEW or something like that. I don't know how that got started, but Brock Lesnar is back with WWE. He has re-signed. He has like some sort of like man bun thing going on, or some kind of ponytail and some kind of beard, and he looks I think he looks
slimmer.
He definitely looks slimmer.
He definitely looks slimmer.
I mean, I don't know. I'm not a great looking guy, but like it's
don't be so modest. Come on. We all know you are.
It's like that's not a good look. I don't know. I don't know.
Definitely not a good look.
I don't know.
You want to tell him that, Mike?
No, I don't. I mean, I hope he never sees this show. And I think we're pretty good on that. I don't think Brock even knows how to use the internet.
I don't think Brock's watching this.
I don't think Brock's on the internet. We're on YouTube, especially watching wrestling shows. But that's a weird look.
I don't know. It's not my favorite look. I'll tell you that much.
That's an interesting one. But so I started off with Victoria on the Becky Lynch stuff. Roy, what did you think of the Brock Lesnar return?
I loved it. I called it. I was watching the pay-per-view with Paul, but Paul fell asleep. I was watching the pay-per-view with Paul. Yeah, he fell asleep. I don't know, halfway through the show, let's say. But I was watching with a buddy of mine.
Could you imagine, Roy, if we had Adam Martin on the show last night, and then we could have wrangled your brother to be on this show tonight? We would have the Wrestleview trifecta, or the fourfecta tonight in that case.
Yeah, it's crazy because Paul's actually watching the product a lot more.
Oh,
mostly because of me, but at least he's watching it. But
good.
Getting him on the show,
that's great that he watches the product. He does own a wrestling website, so I'm kind of happy about that.
Yeah, well, you'd be surprised.
I know.
Yeah.
All right, sorry, Roy. Go on.
Roy speak.
I am. I'm
no
ready to press the damn solo layout button. Here we go.
Gosh.
There you go. All right. Lesnar. I think they nailed it. I was watching the show with a buddy of mine, and we said, "What are they going to do? Are they going to do something after the match? Does Lesnar come back?" And my friend said, "Yeah, maybe." Or what if it's Bray Wyatt or something? And then you get that loud, loud sound that it makes at the start of his theme song. Fans go crazy, and they did it so well. See, Lesnar did not have to say a word. All he did was get in the ring. He approached Roman. Paul Heyman was gold, as always. Roman's facial expression shocked. Fans went crazy. SummerSlam goes off the air. Everyone's happy. Where they go from here, it's just speculation. Obviously, I'm guessing we can have a match down the road and everything. But as for tonight, I loved it. We discussed this a couple of times. Are we ever going to see Brock Lesnar back in a ring, in a WWE ring? My personal opinion was no. Even with fans back, I thought look, there's no way it's not going to happen. It was a pleasant surprise. They're really having Roman just steamroll everybody. And the biggest fish that they have, or that they could have, is Brock Lesnar. And
Right
they
now.
brought him in right now. Yeah. The Rock maybe down the road. But for the time being, it's Lesnar. What happens later on, we'll find out. But they did this correctly. They did this so right. And it was so simple. So simple. Music plays, Lesnar comes out, face to face, show goes off the air. No need for him to attack Roman. No need for him to attack Heyman or cut a promo or anything like that. I thought the fans enjoyed it. I thought it sent the fans home happy, because otherwise it could have been very, very ugly, because the main event wasn't the best and there was a couple of stuff that just dragged on. Thought the fans were happy. I'm happy. And it kind of makes me want to tune in to, I was going to say Raw. Sorry. Kind of makes me want to tune in to SmackDown. Be like, shit, we got Becky and Lesnar. There you go.
Nothing about this show made me want to tune into Raw. They promised me that Jake Paul was going to be on the Moist TV tomorrow. I'm like, can I take the night off?
That's not going to be pretty. That's not going to be pretty. But you know what? They might end up doing the draft this week, and you might end up getting Lesnar and Roman on Raw.
Yeah, right. Like, you know what? I'm surprised. It was like the thing was done so well. I almost wonder if the initial return plans was for Brock to come out there and beat Roman in 15 seconds for the title, and send the fans home happy that way. But I think they learned their lesson after the Becky Lynch thing. So they had very rarely do you ever get a second chance to make a first impression, I guess.
I think this the reason why this was so successful is because Paul Heyman had his hands on it. Of
course.
So the reason why this was completely different, and Paul Heyman had his hands on it, and let's face it, it was the men involved. It was Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns, who they have more say in what they want to do. So, because if somebody approached Brock Lesnar and said, "Oh, you're going to come out there and just win within like 2 seconds and attack Roman," I think he'd be like, "Are you out of your freaking mind?" So they can go back at people. They can, fight back and what they want to say and what they want to do, and have a little bit more handle on what happens to them, especially somebody like Brock Lesnar, who they have to pay the big bucks to get there, right? And keep him there and keep him happy. So, I loved it. Everything about it was, like Roy said, was just simple. Everyone's expressions played a huge role, in this. Heyman being the scaredy, like, okay, what's going on? What's going to happen to me? Roman's stunned look, and Brock's kind of like, little, his smiles in between, and like the instigating a little bit. I loved it. It was fantastic. And even though it took the entire night to get to that point, that was my favorite part of the show. It was.
Well, yeah, I mean,
it's a huge thing. And I mean, the speculation too with him possibly going to AEW. It's like, all right, well, this for sure.
Where did that come from?
I don't know, but I heard about it, and obviously,
but it kind of like plays in that old Brock Lesnar versus CM Punk storyline, where it was like Paul Heyman was managing both at one point, and it was like, well, if they ever came to a head, like, how is it gonna? What's Paul Heyman going to do to choose?
Yeah.
And of course, they had Paul Heyman turn on CM Punk, so he was just Brock's solitary manager. But like now, I am intrigued. How are they going to pull this off? With Paul Heyman, obviously being tied to Roman right now, but he's obviously historically been tied to Brock Lesnar. I think there's a lot of potential for some really neat storylines here. It left me, I thought the show overall, and we'll talk about the actual SummerSlam show tonight as well, was kind of like middling, kind of almost could be categorized a dud with the Becky Lynch botch. But this kind of, the fact that like the show ended and I finished my recap and my thoughts, and as we're getting set up for this, in my head, I'm starting to fantasy book, and I'm like, that's good. That's a good thing. If I'm actually excited about things and excited about possibilities, they could do this, they could do that. That's a success. And I'm super intrigued for the next time Brock Lesnar appears on like SmackDown and they have that explanation. I can't wait to see what they do with this. So it's going to be pretty neat.
Mm-hmm.
Now I have to say this because, I am, a battered dog who has watched WWE for far too long. And, they fucking promoted the show, a show that nobody wants to see in a country that dissolves American journalists in acid. But Crown Jewel is right around the corner, and we know that Brock does all the Crown Jewel shows. We know that Goldberg does all the shows. We know that Becky Lynch probably is not allowed to compete on the show, possibly. No, they're going to have some women's queen of the ring or something like that going on. That'll culminate there. But my God, I just want to say this. They built some goodwill tonight. They almost hit a home run with the Becky Lynch thing, and then they fucked it up, and it wound up being a pop-up in the infield. But still, Becky Lynch coming back, still newsworthy. And they got Brock Lesnar back, and they did that perfectly. And the Goldberg thing, we'll talk about that finish in a second, where it was referee stoppage, and then he attacked Gage Goldberg after the match. If all of that was done, not to build to like Royal Rumble or Survivor Series or even WrestleMania, but for all of that stuff to pay off at Crown Jewel, whatever goodwill they built, I don't know if they've done some shitty things in the past. If that's what they're going to do to pay off this stuff, if this was all done to set up Crown Jewel, they're fucked. I'm sorry. I don't know how anybody can come back believing in this company to do the right thing ever. Or paying things off the right way.
Don't even get me started, okay? Because I could have a whole other podcast just about my thoughts on Crown Jewel to begin with. Don't even put that. I don't know why you had to bring down the mood.
No, I'm just
Everybody
saying.
was loving the whole Brock Lesnar return, and you have to go with your negative Nelly.
It's not negative.
It is negative.
No, it's not. It's it's a goddamn possibility. That's why you don't. That's why it's negative.
But it's a possibility I don't want to envision. Like, you know how,
well, guess what? You got it.
You know how Roy
you're an
was talking
analyst.
about these lists.
That's what you signed up for.
These things that you don't want, like these things that shouldn't even be in the equation. Like, don't even bring it up. Because maybe somebody will watch this show and they are going to say, yeah, you know what? That's a great idea. Don't even put it in people's minds. Don't bring that energy into this world for our viewers and listeners.
You're an analyst. This is what you do. You have to consider all the possibilities, my dear.
Well, to be fair, when they did air that when they did air that promo for Crown Jewel, they never specifically wrote Saudi Arabia. So it could be held anywhere. It could be held anywhere. It doesn't have to be Saudi Arabia.
WWE Crown Jewel live from fucking nowhere again.
There you go. They didn't write it. Yeah. But no, I hope the entire build-up is not for that. I would think not. We might get something where Lesnar shows up for sure and Goldberg, but I don't think that's the payoff. Or at least not there. I truly hope not, because if that is, they are royally, pun intended, they are royally screwed for the fall.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
and for goodwill with your fans. I mean, you can only pull the rug out of under the feet so many times, and they don't have any more trump cards to play now. They don't. I don't mean President Trump or anything like that. I mean like an actual ace up their sleeve. They've returned everybody now. We talked about last night, who's floating around out there. I mean, they could get Daniel Bryan back and pay him $1 million or $1 gazillion or whatever it takes to get him back. Maybe that's the last return they could do, but that's it. Now they have the roster of everybody that they want. They have one of the very few legends that could still go, signed, with them for another match or two in Goldberg. This is it. You got it. These are the stars that they have. And if they can't fumble right now, they cannot.
No. Everything they make has to be careful.
Nothing about this show built any young stars either.
Damian Priest.
Really? All right.
Nah.
Let's talk about SummerSlam. All right. So
we haven't been.
Well, no, the actual card now. Let's talk about the actual card. So aside from returns, and I'm fantasy booking my head, I'm actually fantasy booking myself in a very dark place. Let's move on from this quickly. So I asked Roy on the last one, so I'll get you first. Victoria, what was your favorite thing? Not a return,
Okay.
but on SummerSlam. What was your number one thing on this show that you really liked?
Okay. I have to actually, you know what? Believe it or not, you might have to go to Roy first because I have to think about this. Because truly, my favorite thing was the
Come
Brock
on.
Lesnar return. It was.
Okay,
It was.
well, think of something else.
I am going to think. I'm being honest. There wasn't a whole lot I liked about the show. So,
All right, Roy, come on.
Okay.
What do you got?
Mine was very brief. It lasted maybe 50 seconds or so.
If you say
Edge.
Alexa Bliss, I'm going to come through that screen and slap you.
No. Edge with the Brood. I just, the little teenager in me just kind of marked out. I'm like, that's really, really cool. So I enjoyed Edge's entrance. If we're talking about like a match specifically, I'm going to have to probably go all the way to the opening match, which was RK Bro. I can't believe I just said that, but Randy Orton and Riddle against Omos and AJ Styles. I thought the crowd was into it. And the thing about the crowd tonight was when they were into it, they were into it. And when they were not into it, they were just dead. The match, I thought, was a very fun match. It served its purpose. And the crowd, like I said, the crowd made it that much better. We got new champions. Finally, we're probably going to get something done on the Raw side with the tag titles. And they're just a fun act to watch. Randy Orton and Matt Riddle just kind of have that, oddly enough, that chemistry, and people seem to enjoy it. They look like they're having some fun out there, and it showed off. I'm gonna go with that. I'm gonna go with Edge's little Brood entrance, but as for the match itself, the opening match.
Very good, very good. Victoria, you got yours?
I do, and
All
everyone's
right.
gonna kill me, but I'll explain why. I actually, not the outcome, and we'll talk about that, but with the Bobby Lashley and the Goldberg match, and the only reason why I say this, I was not expecting it to go any longer than like a minute to like, I thought at 3 minutes tops, but I was just out of curiosity because I have never seen a match with Goldberg that lasted more than like 2 seconds. So I was just for my own curiosity. I'm like, okay, like for my own interest, I was like, this is interesting. This is like, I don't know how long the match actually lasted, but it lasted longer than I ever seen with the guy. So I was like, okay, granted, it wasn't great. And the outcome, not so great either. But the beginning of it, and when the minutes were like kind of going by, I'm like, I'm intrigued. This man does normally not move this long and does not normally ring this long. And there's probably a reason for that, but that's okay. I'm enjoying myself. And I'm not a Goldberg fan. I've talked about this. So it's really funny how that would be one of my more interesting things. And I have to agree with Roy too. I mean, the RK Bro and AJ Styles, Omos, it was just fun, you know, and that tag team is great. I'm so happy that they united them. So I mean that like the interaction throughout that match was awesome as well.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
What about you, Mike?
So it's my turn to think about what I liked on this show.
Think just a quick little thing, Victoria. I'm just on. Well, according to Wikipedia, the match went 7 minutes and 10 seconds.
See, that's very impressive, right? Like that's not a Goldberg match normally.
No, that's like 4 times.
Right?
That quite literally is.
So that's why I was intrigued. I'm like, okay, it's a minute. Okay, it's 2 minutes. It's 3 minutes. I'm like, oh wow, this isn't actually going to be continuing.
No.
Yeah. I really have to say one of my favorite things on this show. I gotta say, you know, like I also want to say RK Bro was really just really great. In fact, it kicked off the show in a way I was like, wow, you know, I think we're going to be in for a pretty damn good evening. You know, if I could pick something other than the returns, like I thought the presentation, I didn't like the storyline that I mean, I like the storyline, and I wish they paid it off a week and 2 weeks ago on Raw rather than paying it off on this week's Raw and stretching the hell out of it. But the presentation tonight was spot on, well done, a fun tag team match. So many times, like, people, I don't think the opening match gets enough love sometimes for how it can set the pace and the tone for the rest of the show. They didn't do anything outrageous. Yeah, the one big spot was AJ Styles doing the moonsault into the reverse DDT on the floor on Riddle. That was like the one big, like, oh wow, that was an impressive spot. But everything was kept almost to like a minimum. They hit their spots. The chemistry between Randy Orton and Riddle has some real Team Hell No, Gold Dust and Booker T, Rock and Sock Connection, those odd couple tag teams that are so legendary. It had the feel of all of that. And then on top of that, how often have we seen something super hot? In fact, we saw it tonight. Where something's super hot and then the company doesn't pull the trigger on it. And yes, they didn't pull the trigger on getting them together that week and a half ago, but they could still turn the tide if they would give them the titles tonight. Yes. And they should. Everybody, I think, thought they should get the titles. I think everybody predicted they would get the titles, and they gave them the titles because it's the right move. It doesn't matter if you can see where the story's going. If it makes sense and it's good for everybody involved and it pushes this thing forward and gets that damn tag team division on Raw moving or at least keeps it on life support a little longer, that's all a major win. And if we get more RK Bro stuff, it's a win for anybody who watches the doldrums of Monday Night Raw. It's a win across the board. I thought WWE did the right thing. They made the right decision. They wrestled a great match that was understated. It didn't do too much, didn't take away, but it set the tone. It was fun, and it set the tone for a good show. Now, did they deliver the good show after that? That's debatable. The returns kind of, elevate things a little more. But I thought that was really well done. I really, really liked the RK Bro stuff. Really, really fun. I love this from Jamel too. I think that would be so funny if Orton started wrestling barefoot. That's a great idea. That's a really great idea.
Yeah, right. But it wouldn't. The thing is, it wouldn't fit the Orton character. That's the only thing.
Yeah,
but it'd be hella fun to watch.
Absolutely, absolutely, it would. All right, guys, gentlemen and lady. Least favorite thing on the show. I'm gonna send this one to. I guess I'll send it to you now.
I have to go first, and because I'm gonna shock the world.
Whoa!
I think I know it.
Roy. I know you know. Miz and
no.
Yeah, it was bad.
It was horrible. Bad. You're right. It was fucking terrible.
Really, really bad. And it
was shit.
It made no sense. It had no place being there. I mean, I know what the intent was for, like, again, a comedic relief type of situation, a little in between. But I love you, Miz. I will always love you. You are my favorite. That was not good. And I, you know what? I don't put all the blame on him. I really, really don't. But that tag team needs to just go. It's not working. The shtick isn't working. I tried to give it a chance. I really did. That funny, like, prankster, like, cowardly, like, whatever. Yeah, it works. Not with them anymore. I just don't think the delivery's there. And the crowd wasn't even into it. If the crowd was into it, I'd be like, all right, fine. Served its purpose. It did its thing. And the crowd was laughing hysterically. You were off your chair. You're at home. You're having your kicks. It was not that at all. It just wasn't. And it did not do anything. Like, nobody came out of it like, oh, that was hilarious. I mean, they literally were like bending themselves back, like falling on the floor, like falling in the ring, like
doing pratfalls. Yeah,
come on. Yeah. It would. And why did it happen?
Because it's comedy,
right? But it wasn't. It wasn't funny.
I know it's not.
It just wasn't.
What my face? I swear to God, I was like, I was watching. Okay, so let me add a little context to what the hell was going on here tonight. My mother came over because she wanted to see the Bubby, so she was here.
Our daughter, by the way.
Our daughter Liliana. So she was here, and with the baby goes to bed, and then she's down here talking to us, and then she sits down. And my mom watched almost the entire SummerSlam pay-per-view, and I'm not even kidding you. That's never happened before. And then she was like, oh, like she was like really getting into it. She's like, that's not fair. That guy shouldn't be doing that. I'm like, oh my God, I'm actually sitting with a casual fan, like flipping through the channels. Like this really is what it's like. And they don't really care that everything fucking sucks, I guess, because they're only watching that one show and they'll never watch it again.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, she was here, and yes, she knows that she has a 34-year-old son who's married with a child and sits at home on Monday night and watch it and recaps a wrestling show and then goes on a podcast and talks about it. That's a bitter pill to swallow already. And then, she's kind of having some fun. But then we watch this Miz thing and she's just like, I don't get it. I never felt so little in my entire life. I'm like, why am I watching this fucking drivel? I felt so small when Mom said that. Oh my God. And then she was like, all right, I gotta go. And that was like that's my mom's last impression of professional wrestling is fucking Miz and John Morrison doing pratfalls while poor Xavier Woods is trying to get the crowd going in dressed as Razor Ramon.
See, everyone's going nuts in the chat right now. Guys, I love you and I love Miz. I'm not going to give up on him. You don't give up on the people that you love. I sound like a psychopath, by the way. But you have to accept the fact when something's not working. Daniel, you love Alexa Bliss. Is this whole gimmick working with her? Absolutely not. And you can admit that, right? What she's doing right now for the company is awful what they're doing to her. I think it's awful what's happening with them. Should just not continue. Let them just, I don't know, just don't even have them fizzle out and just whatever. Like it's not working. They tried. And it's funny in the beginning, but it lost its shelf life a while ago. And I have one more thing that I have to say about what I didn't like. And
wow,
Jamel, you said it a while ago, and you reminded me. I did not like SummerSlam on Saturday. I'm sorry.
Well, it wasn't totally on Saturday. The Cena Roman Reigns match went past midnight Eastern Standard Time, so it's back on Sunday.
Okay, no, you know what I mean.
SummerSlam ended on a Sunday. That's all I know.
It really it's affecting my brain. I can't explain it. It's not what I'm used to. So
boo-hoo. Roy,
people who agree with me.
Yeah, I know. Actually, I kind of do. Roy, what was your least favorite thing on this show?
I mean, by default, I'm just gonna agree with you guys because, well, number one, it was terrible. It was hideous, and I completely missed the Alexa Bliss match. I was actually getting some snacks from the kitchen. I was bringing them back and forth, kitchen to the living room. Then I finally sit down, and all I see is Alexa getting the win. I'm like, okay, I guess that happened. So I missed that. Unfortunately, I did not miss the Miz, Morrison, and Xavier Woods. Credit to Woods. He tried to get that Scott Hall NWO Wolfpack costume attire thing going with the hair and the toothpick, but it just had no place on the show. Similar to Nakamura and Rick Boogs. Although I enjoyed it, it was fun.
I liked that actually.
No, I enjoyed it. It just had no place on the show. It was just thrown in there for the sake of it. But yeah, at least that was enjoyable.
Right. I think they felt like they had to have a couple of cool down segments on the show, and usually they go for a cool down match. And Alexa Bliss and Eva Marie was very much a cool down match. In fact, it was a burn up match because it just burned my ass. But they also sent Nakamura out there with Rick Boogs to dance. And then, just to give you a little breather, they send Miz and Morrison out there. But by that point, it's like, fucking just get this fucking show over with.
Yeah.
And when it was dying, just start squirting with the gun and get the fuck out of there. Like you didn't need to draw it out. See, and I felt so bad. Xavier standing there on the apron, he goes, SummerSlam! And it's like,
he's trying.
Yeah.
You can't say they weren't trying. It just didn't work at all.
It didn't work.
When the rumors came out, and I think Mike, you had tweeted about it, that potentially Sasha Banks versus Bianca Belair won't happen. think you tweeted it, and then out came Rick Boogs and Nakamura. So in my head, I'm like, oh, that match probably got canceled, and it's going to get replaced by Nakamura versus Apollo Crews or something.
I kind of thought the same thing.
And then they're like, oh no, coming up next, SmackDown Women's Championship match. I'm like, what? We got Nakamura in the ring. I'm just going to throw this out there. There was no reason for this show to go as long as it did.
No.
Agreed. I agree with you. I was really enjoying the 7 to 10 basically, or even sometimes it was like 7 to 9:30. I was really enjoying those shows.
It's weird to say this, but there's extraordinarily very few aspects of the Thunderdome that I'm gonna miss, but the one big one that I'm definitely missing already from the Thunderdome is the fact that they rarely went. Some shows went 2.5 hours, maybe 3, but it's like, well, we got the crowds back, so we have to do 5-hour shows. Nobody wants that.
They want to eat their money.
You want your shows to climax at the hottest point, and historically, statistically, it's been shown that 3 hours for a pay-per-view is the most that people can get through. So you start getting it going. You start wrapping it up around 2 hours and 15, 2 hours and 30 minutes, and everybody leaves happy, not exhausted. Why did WrestleMania have to become it was the showcase of the Immortals? Now it's like the showcase of whoever can stay awake to finish it.
It's pay-per-views.
It's crazy.
It really is.
It's like nobody asked for that to happen. Nobody.
No, it's way too long. I did not miss that whatsoever. You lose it because then you have, case in point, you make it too long, then you have stupid things like with Miz and Morrison that don't need to be involved. If you have a shorter pay-per-view, you don't have to put that crap out there.
Right. My least favorite thing of the evening, I think it goes without saying, is by far Alexa Bliss and Eva Marie. It's like, I don't hate Alexa Bliss, everybody. I don't hate her, but it's just not working. It hasn't been working. They send her out there. She's getting booed. She's, they're turning the crowd mics all the way down. They're zooming in on their faces. The only time that they've done that on the entire show, they're zooming in on their faces so you cannot see the crowd because no one's cheering when they're putting cheers in. That to me is just maddening and just such a weird thing to do. If it's not working, why are you trying to trick everybody into thinking that it's going to work? All right, I'll do it. Fine. There it is.
What?
Yes, it's here. I stole it from I flew out to Las Vegas and stole it so they can't use this fucking thing anymore and ruin my life. It's Lily. Actually, we got Lily for Liliana, so it came in the mail the other day. So there you go.
That doesn't scare her?
No, she picked it right up and loved it. She loved it.
Our daughter's weird.
She grew up watching wrestling, quite literally. Get rid of it. I don't want to look at it. Are you kidding me? But it's such a weird thing. It's like we have failed so miserably with this storyline. Well, no, yes, we are failing as parents by far if we're giving her a Lily doll. But we have they have failed so hard with this gimmick. They took this thing that Bray Wyatt created that was or Wyndham Rotunda at this point, he's not Bray Wyatt anymore, that he created that was really, creative and could have gone, a really neat direction. And then they took it and gave it the treatment, and they gave it the treatment so bad the guy got released. And now she's sitting around with this gimmick that this man created that's not over, that hasn't been over, was never over at any single point. And they just keep going with it. And it's like, we're going to just go with it until you fucking can't take it anymore. And we're at that point. It's like, I cannot take it anymore. I cannot take watching another segment of this drivel. And it's a waste of a talent like Alexa Bliss, because I think she's an extremely talented performer.
She is.
I hate that crap where she's like, oh, well, you can be a hater, but I'm having fun. It's like, it doesn't matter if you're having fun. It's not working. Okay, I'm tired of it. Oh, she's having fun. She's doing a good job. So that means everything. No, it doesn't. You don't win in this world by your effort. You win with success. You win with success. And this is not successful. It either is or it isn't. No one's ever gotten ahead on merit. It's all a joke. In the real world, it rarely ever happens unless there's like nepotism in like someone's workplace, but somebody had to be successful to get to the point to be nepotistic. It's not there. So stop trying to pretend it is. Zooming in on their faces, turning down the crowd mics, doing fake cheers. Thunderdome's over, guys. It's over. Move on.
I think everyone's
right. It's dead.
Everyone's right, though. You did contribute to them continuing Alexa Bliss because you bought the doll.
Because it's Lily. I had to get it for Lily. and I want to remember, like I want that doll in there. I want it sitting in my closet. So when I look back, so when I open up my closet one day in 50 years and this thing falls on my head, I'll be like, oh yeah, that's the reason why I stopped fucking watching this product.
That was it.
Sorry. I can't. I can't anymore with it.
We know. I think you got the message loud and clear that you did not like that tonight.
You don't think I liked it? I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I didn't. I actually didn't like it.
But why not?
Roy, it's just bad. It's just bad.
Yeah.
It's just bad. But what's not bad is we have a great chat room full of people here. And as Quentin Walter says, if you want more of my beautiful rants, please subscribe, like, and share this video. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, if you're a first-time viewer, we're very happy to have you here, and we hope you're enjoying the show so far. I'm actually having some fun, even though I'm sweating again. Like the video, share it with your friends, subscribe to our channel. We got a lot of content for you on here. All right. We went through what we liked, what we didn't like. We talked about the returns. Let's just talk now about the rest of the show. Just some quick hits. We don't have to go in depth about everything. But Damian Priest versus Sheamus. Who wants to take that one?
Yeah, I'll take one for the team.
All right.
Thanks, Roy.
I figured. I'm like, I could read the room. That was bad. I can't get behind the Damian Priest character. I truly can't. Sheamus was a good champion. He's a good performer. He's a good dude. Has some good matches. They were pushing him towards WrestleMania season. And at one point, I remember us discussing, hey, are they actually going to throw him in a triple threat for the title at WrestleMania? Like him, Bobby, and Drew. And then they gave him the United States title, which is cool. And they had him feuding with Ricochet and all that stuff. And now in comes Damian Priest. And if you look at Damian Priest, they've given him some bad stuff. That zombie apocalypse movies thing that he did. But forget the bad stuff. Even the good stuff, they had him in the ring with at WrestleMania with Bad Bunny. Bad Bunny stole the spotlight. This should have been Damian Priest's coming out party. It's WrestleMania. I'm with Bad Bunny, international, Latin superstar, all that stuff. Nothing. All right. And there's just, I'm not invested at all. And it's kind of, call it ironic, call it whatever you want, but maybe I'm the only one that heard it, and let me know. But when Damian Priest was getting interviewed backstage by, I can't remember who, it was the first time I saw her.
Was it Tiffany Haddish?
Yes. And she introduced him as his first time ever winning the national championship.
I didn't catch that. I barely was paying attention. I did hear that there was no reaction from him whatsoever when he.
Yeah, and she said, so she botched twice. She said, "I'm so excited to be here at the SummerSlam," and then she said, "Yeah, that happens." And then she said,
Fest.
And
it's like
yeah, and
the Silver.
I mean, at least she's at SummerSlam. And
here at the Silver Dome.
The Silver Dome, yes. And then she said, I'm here with someone who's just won his first national championship, Damian Priest. I'm like, oh, it's bad. I can't get into the character. I watch him in the ring. I'm just like, I'm not impressed. He's a big guy. He shouldn't be doing maybe some of the stuff he is doing. I don't know if it's the look. He's not very good on the mic. I'm just not invested at all.
Yeah. I've been saying that for quite some time on Post Raw. Is that I mean, like, yeah, they kind of killed him by putting him with the Miz and Morrison 15,000 times, and he was supposed to get the rub from Bad Bunny, and then the very next night they beat him on Raw for no reason. Like that made no sense to me. And now he wins, but it's like, who cares? This comment right here is everything.
Yes.
Every single problem I have with this guy is this. And it's not really his fault, because everybody has to have those moves that you do in your comeback. And it's like WWE has determined that he's actually good at doing flip dives, and he's been consistently horrible at them from the very moment he stepped foot in the company. On NXT, he was doing dives, and I was like, this guy's going to kill himself one day. And guess what? Earlier this year, he hurt his back and almost missed WrestleMania altogether. And then he spent a month out of the company, probably with an injury, still nursing that back.
Yeah.
And then he hits a flip dive tonight on Sheamus and completely lands on his tailbone. Looked horrible. Randy Torcola saying, I want Damian Priest to stop trying to be a cruiserweight big man. It's like, again, this is another thing where it's like, it's not working, but let's just keep doing it until it starts to work. And you're setting this guy up to actually truly injure himself. And that's I'm not down with that. Like, if you want to keep going with Alexa Bliss until you fucking, devalue her so much that she actually goes the way of Wyndham Rotunda, be my guest. At least she'll leave the company healthy. But this guy, if he continues to do these dives, it's going to be catastrophic for him. He is one bad flip dive away from landing on his upper shoulders and doing some major damage, because he's not small. It's not like, Mike's just being, hard on the new style of wrestling. It's not. He can't do it. So why, like it's an actual art to doing the dives and not dying. Rey Mysterio made a career of it. I've never seen Rey Mysterio do a bad dive, not my entire life. But Damian Priest is atrocious at them, and they keep making him do it.
Right, and everybody has their specialty, and everybody has their strengths in the company. They're trying to force a strength that's not there. Can you read it for me? I can't read.
It says, but at least he is consistent.
Yeah, really.
Consistently really bad at that.
It's true. I mean, the whole thing just bothers me, because they always try to make these individuals people who they're not. And this isn't, and Damian Priest is not the only guy who's a victim of this. He's not a diver. It's not. It just. Okay. I'm not gonna say it like this, but someone like Kevin Owens, he could do stuff off at the top rope, and
he can do it.
It's a little weird when you look at his body type. You're like, wow, like,
he should. You look at him and you say he shouldn't be able to do this, but he is.
He can, and he specializes in that, and that's great for him, right? But just because. But
they're doing this because he has absolutely no personality, no way of connecting with the crowd. So it's like, so like, when things are getting tough, with like Drew McIntyre or Roman Reigns, and then they have like when Roman Reigns was the face. So it's like, well, he's been having a couple sluggish weeks. Yeah. So we're going to set this thing up where we do a melee at ringside, and then they do a flip dive. Like Roman Reigns does the big dive out of the ring.
Right.
Drew McIntyre does the somersault senton. You do that intermittently every now and then. That kind of works, but like, it helps to pop the crowd a little bit. But this guy has absolutely no charisma whatsoever. He's trying to do that thing where he's like, trying to play into his Latin X roots and, do a little Spanish, trying to be like, a new age Eddie Guerrero, where he'd say, like, hey, pasa, like all that stuff. And then do his promo. Like, he's not that, and he's never going to be that. So let's have him do some flips. That'll make it work. Well, that's not going to work either, because he sucks at them. And he's actually going to wind up really hurting himself. So, okay, I said this would be quick. So he has the United States title. If they have him fucking face the Miz tomorrow in a United States title defense, he's dead. He's just dead. It's sink or swim time for this guy. In my opinion, for the reasons that Roy just talked about before, about the Bad Bunny thing and how the spotlight was stolen from him and he didn't get the rub, or the rub didn't work because they fumbled it and he just was totally uninteresting in the WrestleMania match. They put a lot of time into this guy. He hasn't lost since, the Raw after WrestleMania. It's sink or swim time for him now. He has the United States title. He has to go out there and have some good matches. They got to stop with the fucking dives, give this guy an actual chance, and then, see what you got. And I suspect that they have nothing here, but again, they have nothing with the Alexa Bliss thing anyway. So yeah, see, like Monday, Mike, tomorrow is Sunday. Well, I'm on East Coast time now, so it still is tomorrow. Thank God. But yeah, no, you're right. I'm totally thrown off by the fact that SummerSlam was on a Saturday, thinking that I'm going to be watching Raw tonight.
But yeah, I don't want to continue any further other than the fact that, like I said, it's not in his technical whatever he's doing, so just don't force it.
It's not in the wheelhouse.
They want to. They always want shock value though, so they'll keep pushing and pushing and pushing.
Well, they don't train anybody the art of professional wrestling. They train them to do a couple spots, and then they teach them a few rest holds that they can do to transition to their next spot. There's no one's learning how to wrestle anymore.
No,
because that's how great of a job they're doing at the Performance Center. That's why we have all these brand new stars that came out of there.
Because even Miz and Morrison.
I don't want to get into this. It's crazy.
Miz and Morrison, when they were on Miz and Mrs., it was, and this is real.
It's frustrating. Hurry up.
When they were on the show, they were talking about Morrison was, they were working together and they were doing stuff with just their moves. And Morrison's like, "Oh, do you want me to show you this, whatever?" And Miz is like, "No, that's not me. Like, I'm not that wrestler." And they're having that exchange like back and forth. But it's
are you really quoting something from a scripted reality show?
I'm bringing a point of that people have their skills. They have their strengths.
Yes, we get it.
Morrison is a flipper, diver, whatever. Miz is not. You could still be successful in a company and not doing those moves.
Of course you can.
But
of course you can.
Their mindset is not.
But they don't know. They don't know how to do professional wrestling anymore. They only know sports.
That's why I was bringing it up. Don't ever come at me again like that.
Here we go.
You hear me?
Usos beating Ray and Dominic. Who wants? You want to take that one, my dear?
Yeah. No, I mean that match was fine for me. I mean, I didn't really it wasn't necessarily just there. It was a little bit more than just there. It was okay. Like it was pretty good. And
all right. Roy, you're the SmackDown guy. What do you think?
I'm bored out of my mind watching that.
Really?
Yeah, it's nothing against. I like the Usos. I like the Mysterios.
Mm-hmm.
Although I mentioned it before, I don't think Dominic is ready just yet. But
yeah. If his last name wasn't Mysterio, there's no chance he's on the roster right now.
No, he's as green as grass. And he's still learning. Look, talent's there, potential's there. He's still learning. But we've gotten this match a bunch of times on SmackDown, or different variations of this match on SmackDown. I'm just not interested, to be honest. I was kind of expecting them to break up the Mysterios, if I'm being honest. I really thought they were going to do that, but that's not the case. They didn't do it, or at least not yet. Not interested in that match, to be honest.
I can see why you think that, though. Like you said, you watch it weekly and you recap it and you've analyzed it. The ins and outs of it, and it's like at this point, it probably was just like an every week type thing, feud interaction type.
Right. Ed Hamilton, I think, with a great comment here. Anybody miss OVW? Because I'm talking about how no one's being really trained in like the professional wrestling skills. They're just learning these like weird like cluster matches where it's just like spot 1, spot 2, rest hold, back to spot 2. It's like all these like weird things. It's I like to think that Grash is being facetious here. OVW, no, that's what we have NXT. It's like what are the success stories from NXT right now? It's like like who's learning the craft of professional wrestling at the Performance Center? I mean, you have the women's evolution that kind of came out of that. And that's probably the biggest thing that they can hang their hats on. But most of the people coming in that do anything had already done it and wrestled around the indie circuit and became something or had some kind of natural skill. But yeah, like I would love for like a traditional wrestling camp to be associated with them again, rather than like just teaching everybody the same exact style. I mean, that's one of the biggest complaints I have about the show is just that everybody wrestles the exact same. It's like so crazy. All right. We already talked about Becky. Oh, Drew McIntyre and Jinder Mahal. I'll take that one. Stop with the sword.
Yeah, that sword's
You-
gotta go.
Yeah.
You can't use the sword. He swung the sword.
But he missed by
could
that
have
much,
murdered
apparently.
somebody.
Yes, Roy. This was...
Apparently,
Yeah.
he missed by that much.
You know what I put in my recap? I'm gonna read you exactly how I recap that one.
Oh, dear.
Because like there's no other way to recap it other than to tell the truth. Veer and Shanky run down to check on their fallen leader. McIntyre grabs the Claymore sword, basically waits for them to exit the ring, and then swings. McIntyre motions that he was this close to murdering Veer and Shanky. That's all I put. Is that not an honest assessment
is
of
an
what
honest-
was on television tonight?
That
Valid.
is a play-by-play for sure. That is what killed me.
I
When
came
he kept
this
going
close.
this close.
I almost killed you.
Literally, They
I
stepped
almost
out of
killed
they
you.
came out of the ring, and he paused, and then he swung the sword. It was
Yeah.
like, no, you were not that
And-
close. But thank God you weren't that close because you would have killed
This
somebody.
close to killing
Yeah.
you. Next
And-
time I'll
and-
get you. I'm a face, so I'm gonna smile. But this next time I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna fucking murder
Even-
you in the ring.
Even Corey Graves said it. I think he was talking about Jinder. He said, "Does Jinder know that how close he came to becoming 5'4" or something like that?"
Right.
I'm like, are you really fucking mentioning that? Like, the less said about it, the better.
Now they put that match on after the Becky Lynch return, and yeah, the crowd was a little subdued. But I actually think that going back to like him constantly relying on this sword that you can never ever use. You literally can never use it because somebody, like, even if he just grazed them, someone's gonna have to have massive reconstructive surgery. You know, with a fucking Claymore sword coming, graze his cheek. And guess what? His cheeks were like split open. Like you can pull his face off his fucking skull. Hello, this is so stupid. Why don't they just go? You know what? Go back to fucking telling the stories. He was doing better with that than this. But again, it's like we got Drew McIntyre here the night after Money in the Bank where he did the chair thing on Veer or Shanky or whatever. I can't tell them apart. And beat him up with 30 chair shots. And it was like, okay, Drew McIntyre's back because we're done with the stupid stories. And he's just going to be aggressive again. And then it's like, oh, my sword, its name is Sharon or something stupid. Whatever his mother's name is. It's a cute little story behind it, but it's kind of also morbid and kind of weird that he named it after his dead mother and is using it in a storyline. I always think that stuff's kind of gross. It's like, oh, Natalia's doing this for Jim Neidhart. Let's put a decal of Jim Neidhart on a table and have somebody be slammed
All right,
through it.
go back to
Stupid. Anyway,
Yeah.
sorry. And it's like, okay, now we're going to have him swing the sword and miss each time. And there's absolutely no way we can pay it off. So we're just going to tease it forever, but it can't be paid off because, even though it's sports entertainment and they can do a lot of outrageous things, you can't do, and they did hang the big boss man once, but you can't fucking hit somebody with a sword and even fake it. It's
Yeah.
it's nothing but death. Nothing but death.
At least when Pillman had a gun, they made it look real.
Right. Exactly. But again,
Makes no
like
sense.
that was controversial and it got people talking. But again,
Yeah.
that's like a weapon that they only did that once. It's a weapon you can never use. Like there's certain weapons that just can't be used in wrestling. Yeah, they got pizza cutters, we got light sticks, we have barbed wire, we have thumbtacks, we have
Sledgehammer.
rat traps and panes of glass, which even panes of glass might be going a step too far because like that you can't tell how glass is going to go. They did use sugar glass at least on AEW, but you cannot use a gun in wrestling. All right, Drew, here we go. It's like what are we doing here? You can't use a cannon, I guess. You can't use a machine gun. You can't use
assault rifle.
A knife.
and you can't use a fucking Claymore sword. Like those chainsaw. Yeah, exactly. You can use cars. You can definitely do stunts with cars and stuff like
You
that.
can hold a sword, like if you want that look, but you can't actually pull it out as a use.
My
of,
question:
like,
why
to
would you even
threaten
want
people.
the look? It's so stupid.
Like, I don't mind the look so much, but the
A bazooka.
actual pulling it out of and threatening people with it, I have a problem with that because you're completely psycho. And how
Right.
is nobody fearing for their lives in the backstage? Because you're just this guy
Right.
walking around
Can't-
with a sword.
Can't
You're
use
a loose cannon.
Can't
Drew.
use a flamethrower. You can use a bomb, Andrew. You can use a bomb. They have rigged rings with C4 explosives. Yeah. Like even
Sorry.
like Kai and Tai with the choppy PP.
This one made me laugh from Hayden. Tonight on Chop WWE's swords, buy one get one free.
Are they gonna sell swords on the merch in the in WWE shop?
You won't find one in this household. I'll tell you that if they do. You can use a tank in your WrestleMania entrance. That's damn sure, Daniel. You definitely can do that.
For sure.
But you can't use the bazooka at the end of the tank. You can't use that as part of the finish. Okay. You can't have a fight in an airplane and throw a guy out of the airplane without a parachute on. Like that, you just can't do these things. You can't pay him off.
Murder is not
but you can
allowed.
But you can throw somebody off of the WWE headquarters. That's totally fine.
You can set somebody on fire.
That's totally fine.
You can electrocute someone's testicles.
It's just, yes, you can do that. You absolutely can. But this is just so fucking stupid. And it's like, once again, we're at the point where, okay, we got to go back into rehab mode with Drew. It's like, how many times are we going to start and stop? We're starting and stopping with Drew. Really? Come on. Anyway, Charlotte Flair submits Nikki Ash, who Nikki Ash did get booed during her promo backstage. Couldn't be all that wonderful booking, could it? What do you think about the Charlotte Flair thing, Roy?
My question in regards to Charlotte, because there was no reason for Nikki to. Okay, let's restart here. Nikki's entire title reign, did she even win a single match? She lost to Charlotte twice. Did she beat Rhea Ripley?
She did beat.
Or was that no DQ?
I think she beat her by disqualification.
Disqualification, right? So the worst champion in WWE history, number one, right there. My question in regards to Charlotte, because I had predicted, and I guess it was pretty obvious, but I had predicted Charlotte to win this because there was no way, in my opinion, that Nikki was going to hang on to this. But when it comes to Charlotte now as champion, is what more can they do with her? And like, are they going to try and get her to that 16, 17 times like her dad?
Yes.
Sure. Possibly. I'm guessing that's their end game. That's their goal. But if I'm Charlotte Flair, I just got the belt again.
Thank you, Andrew.
What do I have? I won the SmackDown belt a bunch of times, won the Raw belt, won NXT, was a women's tag team champions. What's next for Charlotte? Why should I be interested or invested in Charlotte Flair? Give me a reason. Because I honestly, I don't have one. She's a great talent, absolutely. But there's no fuse that interests me. Because we've gotten Asuka versus Charlotte a bunch of times. We've gotten Charlotte versus Rhea Ripley a bunch of times. Nikki, the less said, the better. She's not going to feud with this version of Alexa Bliss. I don't want her feuding with Tamina or Natalya. So why should I be invested in her?
You shouldn't. It's all just so they can just break a record, and it's just so stupid. Nikki ass. That's so true. I am so burned out on the Charlotte Flair presentation, and it's like they're gonna try to squeeze us in, so that she can get number 17 at WrestleMania this year. So she has to win and lose the title a few more times. And here's the thing that really doesn't make sense. You want to talk? Everybody says when Karrion Kross debuted on Raw and he got pinned by Jeff Hardy in a minute as the NXT champion, last month, and everyone's like, oh, it's just shock value. That's all. My Karrion Kross will be fine. NXT's fine. It's like, well, NXT is not fucking fine. Charlotte Flair is an NXT Women's Champion. In fact, she won the NXT Women's Championship last year at WrestleMania from Rhea Ripley, and they are now no longer. So Charlotte Flair is a 12-time champion in WWE's record book now. Totally discounting. I think she won the NXT Women's Championship 3 times. So instead of keeping the NXT Women's Championship as a legitimate championship, they have spit on their own brand and said that those no longer count as actual women's championship reigns. So in a way, it's so stupid because now they have to have her win and lose the title more times than necessary so they can get to that 16 or 17. It's so strange that they did that because instead of she's a 2-time champion, so that's just 2 more of these. She could be a 14-time champion, 2 away from 16, but instead she now needs to win and lose it 5 times to get to 17. 5 times. So it's going to
By
be
WrestleMania.
more, yeah, and it's good. So it's good. So all that means is going to be more short reigns, and then more short reigns for the paper champion to give it back to her.
I've exhausted so much time.
Doesn't make sense.
And energy into the women's division on post Raw, and it's really.
I'm glad that it's not Monday.
It's so frustrating to see, because when you look at the division as a whole, there's just nothing. And you know what? One of the thoughts I was thinking tonight, and somebody did mention this, I'm not quite sure in the chat, but when Becky Lynch returned, right, and as it was progressing, and again, as you analyze and you assess the situation of what's happening here. When she won that title, right?
Yeah.
And then when Charlotte won that title, then you think to yourself, here we go again. You know they're going to have a matchup. Right now they're on different, as of right now, they're on different rosters, right? But the draft's coming up soon. Who knows what they're going to do? And, they do interconnect and have that where, roster and Smackdown, Raw come together and have a feud or whatever. But I think to myself, no matter at this point who you pair Charlotte up with, 99% of the time it's going to be somebody who she's already been with, we've already seen, or she's matched up with somebody who is just not at her caliber, and somebody who's just not, ready to be on, at that level,
right?
And it's like there's nothing she can do. There is literally nothing anybody can do but recycle feuds over and over again.
Right.
I thought to myself,
and Ed Hamilton
Charlotte and Becky Lynch.
Right. Ed Hamilton brings up Io Shirai, but God, you don't even want that, because that means that Io Shirai has to win the title quickly. Instead of establishing herself on the roster and letting people know who she is, because obviously NXT means nothing now, she would have to win the title and then lose it again to Charlotte Flair, thereby taking somebody who could be a viable star, a viable, I believe she's Japanese star in the women's division, just like they have with Asuka, and then devaluing her to pad a star that doesn't need any more padding, just like they did with Bianca Belair and Becky Lynch tonight.
And I said this too while she was also because even you know how you mentioned your mom before was watching.
Yeah.
When she was watching,
that was weird,
and
right?
She doesn't watch, and she was like, I'm not really impressed by this chick, and she doesn't know the full story behind Charlotte Flair, because I think she's extremely talented. Let's just get that out there. She's very talented in the ring, extremely, and she's got great mic skills. That's a given as well. But the story is getting old, and they're going to do anything to keep her happy as well. Her fiance is in AEW. Her father was just released. They're not wanting to get rid of her. So whatever it takes for her to keep their precious happy, they're going to do it. So we're going to see more of these interactions, stop and go matches, and where she's going to lose the title, win the title, lose the title, win the title. And we're going to suffer for a bit until she gets to that record. That's the direction we're going in. And if they want to keep her happy, they're going to do it. They have no choice. They don't have anybody else to fall back on. They really don't. The division is so appalling.
It is.
It is.
It really is.
It is. It's beyond.
It's like well, we had Evolution, and well, we did that.
Oh,
now
we did
release
Evolution.
everybody.
We don't need to do anything else.
That's it.
We did our job.
They said we couldn't do it. We did it. So it's Daniel Shell bringing up. It's almost 2:30 here on the East Coast, so we got to start wrapping this baby up.
It is, yeah.
Edge versus Seth Rollins. Roy, you love the Brood entrance.
Yeah.
I guess
Underwhelmed.
It underwhelmed you?
Yeah. The match. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No.
I love the entrance. I was expecting a lot better from both guys. I'm not Seth Rollins' biggest fan, but I think he'd definitely go in the ring. He's not terrible by any means. Edge, veteran, experience. We know what he brings to the table. I just thought the match, I don't know, underwhelmed. I was expecting more. Maybe it was myself. I got hyped into the game, into the match, but I was just expecting more. I thought, personally speaking, I thought the finish was kind of flat. Maybe it was just me, but
it was
out
of nowhere. It kind of felt like
out of nowhere, absolutely. And it was kind of like Edge needed the win. Obviously, you tweeted about it. Like, finally, Edge won a freaking match.
He never wins.
He doesn't. Edge needed the win, but at the same time, I honestly thought Seth was gonna win. I thought they were gonna get Seth next in line versus Roman. Obviously, that's not the case. But I don't think this is the last we're gonna see of this feud, which I think is a good thing.
Yeah. It was. It definitely feels like we're gonna have like maybe like a trio of matches. You know, like this is just part one. It was good for me. It was like one of those like, well, big match. We have to do these like these self-masturbatory things in the ring, like chain wrestling, and it's like they're having a blood feud. Last night or on Friday night, Seth, Edge had black liquid poured on Seth Rollins. They've been going back and forth. He's been talking about his neck. He's been talking about his family. Rollins is. He wants to paralyze Edge. He wants to break his neck again and end his career for good. So naturally, how do we start the match? Lock up, headlock, do some chain wrestling, trying to outsmart. No, it's a blood feud. Just start throwing punches at the get-go. It's like you can cut at least 5-6 minutes from the match and put some immediate heat into it, rather than like this bizarre thing where you gotta freaking start with chain wrestling and stuff like that. Just doesn't make any sense to me. It's a blood feud. Have it be like that. Like I always go back to Steve Austin and Bret Hart at WrestleMania 13. They were having a blood feud, and in that submission match. And how does it start? The bell rings, tackle, punches, just aggression. I didn't feel aggression. I felt like they were trying to just do a wrestling match, and it just didn't fit the story. And I also didn't like the fact that like it's like, oh well, Seth Rollins mentioned a neck injury, so all the same exact moves that Edge was taking a month ago from Roman Reigns, now it's like he gets back to the ring post. He's like, I am paralyzed now. I can't move. Yikes! I don't. But that doesn't take away from the fact that it was really it was well done at the end. But I wish that they would have just shaved 5 minutes from it and just got right to the aggressive parts, rather than like, I'm going to take you down and do this. It's like, come on.
That was honestly my take on it. I just wish it was a little shorter, but I thought it was one of the better matches of the night. No question.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and let's go with we mentioned it, but we didn't talk about it. And this is a good way to kind of get ready to start wrapping this bad boy up. We have Goldberg and Bobby Lashley. It ends on referee stoppage and probably one of the longest matches of Bill Goldberg's WWE career. Interesting.
That's what I said about it. I know everyone thinks it was weird to talk about like one of your favorite parts of the night, but I was, as the minutes were going by, and it was only like 7 from what Roy told me when he looked it up before, but I was like, oh my God, it's not a 2-second match. Holy shit.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, the element of surprise was there. I don't like the ending whatsoever, but it kept me engaged. And again, Goldberg wasn't like, oh, I'm super impressed by him, but it was just him lasting a lot long in the ring. I'm like, okay.
Right. Right. It was, it was like a story that I didn't expect them to tell with Goldberg. I thought it was just gonna be move, finisher, spear, jackhammer, dominator, slam, and then just go. That's it.
I think his son was gonna be involved. Like I mean,
they teased it, but I was like, the kid's 15.
But I'm like, yeah, exactly. I was like, he's 15 years old. There's no way. Like, and again, he didn't do much, but still, it was enough for them to be like, okay,
yeah.
I'm sure 15 is legal age in Saudi Arabia.
There you go.
Because that's kind of where this is going. I have a feeling if any match is going to be paid off in Saudi Arabia, Crown Jewel, it's going to be Goldberg and Bobby Lashley.
Yeah, I was kind of expecting this match to open the show. I don't know why. I thought it was going to be like a squash match where Lashley just kind of dominates and retains, and it's going to kick off the show. Everyone's excited, and that's out of the way.
Absolutely.
Didn't happen. Yeah, didn't happen. I didn't think it was bad.
Yeah. I want to take a moment and welcome. We have 153 people watching, or 163 people watching with us right now. I don't know if this is a glitch on my count here, but welcome to the show. We've been talking about SummerSlam all night. We talked about the return. So if you want to go back, this will be available on DVR on YouTube, and it will be up for you to go back and check out. But if you're enjoying our conversation so far, please give us a like, subscribe to the channel. We have a ton of content here on Wrestleview, and make sure you go to Wrestleview.com and check it out. We talk everything, cover all things wrestling. And I think our shows are we're pretty damn informative, if you ask me.
We're fabulous.
So
that's just me.
So welcome to the now 187 people watching. Andrew Elder says, I think in order to save this, the only match that could be built up out of this is Gage Goldberg versus Nicholas.
I would love to see that. I think we need Nicholas back.
Former tag team champion Nicholas. I think we got to go there.
But what grade is he in now? Because he was in 4th a few years ago.
He'd be like in 7th grade.
Okay. All right. So he's close.
Yeah. It's pretty good. Pretty good. So Gage Goldberg definitely has the wrestling bug. I think it bit him. I think he wants to do it. I think
he's like, you know what? I'm getting paid enough. I gotta put a little more effort in.
I gotta tell you, that was you know what? I actually want to go back and say what my favorite thing on the show was.
Oh God.
Actually, when Goldberg was kneeling against his destroyed son, and he's looking at Bobby Lashley, and he's holding his son's head. And he goes, "I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna kill you." It was so great. It was so funny. I'm gonna kill you. Oh my God, it was so good.
Yeah.
And did we talk? We talked about Brock Lesnar coming back. We didn't talk about John Cena's match. We didn't talk about John Cena in this match, did we?
No, we didn't.
Roy is our resident SmackDown recapper. He covers all things SmackDown. Roy,
he's the best.
There were a lot of promos that were excellent leading up to this match. Almost too good. I think it actually wound up hurting the match a little bit. Roy, what did you think of this match as the SmackDown guy? Yeah, no,
I 1,000% agree with that. But I think that was always going to be the case. We know what Cena can do in a ring. Roman Reigns obviously stepped it up in the past year. But whenever you have Paul Heyman, John Cena, and this version of Roman Reigns on the mic, it was always going to exceed whatever they were going to do in the ring. With that said, I did not expect it to exceed the match as much as it did. This was slow. It was a very, very slow match. And it tends to be the case with Roman Reigns, this version of Roman Reigns, where a lot of his matches, pay-per-view matches, kind of drag on, and he takes his time and he looks at the camera and he plays the character, I think very, very well. But on a show that was already running 3.5, almost 4 hours long at that point, let's bring it home. You know what I mean? Let's wrap it up. This went way too long. They could have shaved off 5, maybe even 8 minutes off of this one. It would have been solid, especially with Brock Lesnar coming out afterwards. I don't think it was a bad match, far from being the match of the night. It was just kind of like, you knew what you were going to get, and I enjoyed Cena's antics of, I'm just going to try and get the 1, 2, 3, get the pin, because that's something that Cena kept mentioning. All I need is 1, 2, 3, and that's it. Yep. 1, 2, 3, and you're just an answer to a trivia question.
Yeah.
And that was cool, but then it was kind of like, okay, let's go. It's 11:45. Oh shoot, it's midnight. It's still going on. It wasn't bad. It just could have been shorter.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. It's like you're watching the show, and they did the stuff with the roll-ups, and it's like, yeah, all I need is this, the 1, 2, 3. But it was just like almost every single Roman Reigns match that they've had since he was a heel was like tons of interference. So at least they cut that out tonight. Even the main event of WrestleMania had a ton of interference in it. But still, like, it's like, okay, well, it's a main event match, so it's got to go over 20 minutes. Just kind of like with Edge and Seth Rollins. I think they would have had an incredible 15-minute match that was all aggression rather than like playing games and stuff like that. But like, because John Cena hasn't had a long match in quite some time and has been doing Hollywood stuff, and it's like they had to do a lot of smoke and mirrors here to get him through it. So it just led to these things where typical Reigns match where it kind of starts to drag a little bit. There's rest holds. There's a lot of jaw jacking. There's a lot of talking. Like they started that in the I Quit match at the Hell in a Cell match with Jey Uso, where it was like, he just does so much talking. He does so much talking. And that's like part of the match. But like, if you're sitting in the crowd, it doesn't really translate that well, to those watching. So sometimes there's points where the heat is a little less. Yeah, when he was taunting the crowd tonight, they were eating that up. But there was long gaps of inactivity in this match. I thought that kind of hurt it a little bit. But at the same time, you have to cover up for, obviously what John Cena is probably lacking right now, which is the stamina in the ring.
Yeah.
So in that case, it was successful. Victoria, my post Raw show co-host, what do you say about this?
A little bit of a combination between both you and Roy. I definitely do think that there were elements of the match that did not need to be shown whatsoever. They didn't need to continue as long as they did, which that's fine. It went on as long as it did. Okay, whatever. I think, as you also mentioned, Mike, about how, the stamina of John Cena might be a little bit off considering he hasn't been doing this for a while. So that probably factored into it. But I just enjoyed the overall experience of having John Cena back. So for me, again, how I said I was blindsided by the fact that Becky Lynch returned. So Bianca Belair, like what happened to her, like I didn't really think about it too much. I think I glorified this match more. Like I made this match better in my head, and was what happened because I was just very excited about the matchup in itself.
Right.
Because I missed seeing Cena. And I know it sounds weird because, I want to rely on the individuals that we do have, but having him back just was great. It really was.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it's obviously always great to see John Cena and he did his stuff. There was it was a compelling story. I will say it was definitely compelling what they were telling in the ring. But like we were talking about with CM Punk last night, where it was leaked, it was the worst kept secret in professional wrestling. And it would have been, like the hype was so big for it that, even if it happened, like, can it live up to what people built up in their heads? And I do think the CM Punk thing delivered last night or on Friday night on the East Coast now. I think the moment delivered, the pop delivered, the promo delivered. They built it up to the next level. Where those promos, the missionary promo, the Nikki Bella thing that they mentioned, all that stuff. They got a lot of great shots. John Cena talking about Roman Reigns' teeth. It got personal. It got heated. So like you're building up in your mind like this epic, and with John Cena where he is, it's almost like the promos were so good that it couldn't live up to the hype. And for me, it missed it. But I think Victoria's right. I think a lot of people will watch this and just be very, very happy that they got to see John Cena tonight.
Yeah,
and
I think
probably one of the final huge matches of his career. Who knows?
Yeah, you never really know because his next movie or whatever, or even just in general, he may not want to do something. So
right.
You kind of have to take it for what it is and appreciate it.
Absolutely. Well, that is SummerSlam. So everybody in the chat room, usually what we do right now is I will pose a question to you. Did you like SummerSlam or did you not like it? Give us a thumbs up in the chat room or a thumbs down. Nothing. You have to choose one. You just have to choose one. So do you give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down? Let us know what you think. I'm going to ask Roy first. What did you think of SummerSlam tonight? Do you give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down?
Thumbs up. But not by much. Let's put it that way. There was a lot of stuff, we spoke about, a lot of stuff that dragged on, a lot of stuff that should not have even been on the show. But, for the most part, when the crowd was into it, they were into it. Not too bad matches. And you got some returns. Becky Lynch, despite what happened afterwards, Becky Lynch came back, and then you have Lesnar at the end. And like we just spoke about, we got John Cena, right? And probably the last big match of his career. So I'm going with a thumbs up on this one.
All right. Victoria.
I'm going with thumbs up as well between the returns, RK Bro, Good start to the show.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good end to the show with Lesnar. Loved seeing John Cena. And I enjoyed Goldberg. So I give it a thumbs up.
Okay. For me, it's a very tepid thumbs up, even slightly up. The Brock Lesnar thing was enough to save it for me, but I thought they fumbled and completely botched the Becky Lynch return. I thought that was almost in the realm of unforgivable. And if they didn't send Brock Lesnar out tonight, I think I'd be sitting here right now saying that this show would get a thumbs down. But the fact they had Lesnar go out there, the fact that we saw Cena put in a great effort, they had a compelling match, went a little too long. There was a little too much, inactivity going on there. And that Miz thing really sucked. That was a horrible segment.
Breaks my heart.
But the Lesnar thing was enough because it was a true surprise to push it up to a thumbs up for me. And I'm looking at this chat room and I am seeing a lot of reactions here. Randy Torcola, thumbs up. Somebody didn't like it, thumbs up, down. It's kind of mixed here. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs up, thumbs meh. We got thumbs up for the last 24 hours of being a pro wrestling fan with Punk and Lesnar returning. Yep. Lots of thumbs up from Prabhu. We got thumbs up, thumbs down from Brett Farmer. Wow, there's a lot of reactions here. And then the last couple here were a bunch of thumbs up. So it seems like it's almost kind of mixed. It's kind of a mixed reaction. Let's go to the Twitter page here. And if you can like us at Wrestleview on Twitter. So make sure you check us out there. I'm going to pull that up right now and we'll check out what the Twitterverse thinks of this on our page. And well, 63% of them give this show a thumbs up.
It's close.
I hope everyone enjoyed this show. And if you did, subscribe to our channel.
Please. Absolutely. So here's how you can find us if you enjoyed us and what we were doing tonight. We really appreciate having everybody here tonight. My name is Mike Tedesco. I'm the editor-in-chief of Wrestleview, a great website to check out, wrestling headlines. We have tons of podcasts. We do a lot. We do opinion articles. We just revamped the site, so we're going to be bringing you more content, especially nostalgia content. I'm going to be doing some classic Raws. I do the Raw recap for the website, and me and Victoria every Monday night after Raw, we recap that show. And in many cases, we recap it so you don't ever have to watch it. If you don't feel like watching Raw, if it's too painful for you, we do it for you. So you can just come and listen to us talk about it. Roy, what do you do?
Yes. What do I do? I am no, I'm kidding. I'm the Smackdown recapper. I'm the Wrestleview.com Smackdown recapper. So I am the luckier of the three here, where I get to cover, let's say, the better show or the easier show to cover. Every Friday nights, Smackdown results, and there's also the Smackdown post show as well. Over here on YouTube and on Facebook. So like us on YouTube, like us on Facebook, subscribe to honestly never miss a single thing in regards to professional wrestling.
Please do subscribe to our channel if you like our content. And like Randy Turcola says, I get pretty heated on those shows. So and if you rewind to the beginning of the show with the Becky Lynch thing, you'll see me sweating and kind of getting a little heated there. You can get some good stuff there. We thank everybody, all of our longtime viewers and some new viewers here for checking out the show tonight. Please like the video. Please subscribe to the channel. Please check out Wrestleview.com. It'll make Roy's brother very, very happy to get all these new viewers on the site. And
right. I'm the brother of the owner of the website.
That's right. That's what you do.
Right.
That's right. He's the brother of the owner.
That's how I got this gig.
So everybody, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We're going to sign off now. You can watch the video back at any time at your leisure. But I'm Mike Tedesco. That's Victoria. That's Roy. Thank you so much for joining us. We're very happy to have had you all tonight. Thank you to our longtime viewers. Thank you to the new viewers that popped in tonight. And we will see you. I might do a show tomorrow after NXT. I'm not sure. So be on the lookout for that. But we're definitely doing post Raw this Monday night. Check it out. The Raw after SummerSlam. We'll be there live. Roy will be up for post Smackdown. He does his post Smackdown show. We have some fun. Everybody, thank you so much and have a great night.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.